Welcome back, everyone. We're doing another episode of Indie Reads Aloud. And to wrap up this season, Barbara Evers is back, and she's going to be reading from her final book in the Watchers of Moniah series. It's called The Watchers at War.
Mhm.
And as we talked before, welcome back, Barbara. As we talked
Right,
before, this is a fantasy world with giraffes in addition to a
yes,
bunch of other fantastical beasts.
right.
Um,
Telepathic giraffes.
and telepathic giraffes. So that was the thing I wanted to ask you the last two times you were on the story, and I don't think we really got into it that much.
Mhm.
My curiosity is with they're telepathic giraffes, but clearly their language with each other would be different than the
Mhm.
language of humans. So when they communicate with the humans in your stories, how do they do that? What is their mode of telepathy?
So it's a visual telepathy.
Okay.
It's totally visual. They can show the person they're bonded with, and there's only one person they're bonded with. Members of the royal family of Moniah always bond with a giraffe, and they can see through the giraffe's eyes, and the giraffe can see through their eyes. So they share what they're seeing, which, when you are a ruler in a large desert kingdom that's fairly flat, well, it's not all desert, it's savanna and desert, but it's mainly flat. Being able to see further is advantageous.
Absolutely.
Giraffes are considered the watchtowers of Africa in the real world because they're tall and they have really strong eyesight. People don't realize their eyesight's pretty good. And so in the wild in Africa, giraffes, if they run, the other animals take notice. They're
Well,
like,
yeah,
ah.
and then
So
a
so the
giant moving across the landscape quickly would definitely be something you'd want to pay attention to.
pay attention to exactly. Excuse me. But the bond is only with the royal family, and it was established centuries ago by the first queen of Moniah. Her name actually was Moniah, so the kingdom is named after her.
Okay.
And she accidentally discovered an ability to connect with the giraffe like this. And giraffes at the time when she found this out were endangered. So she made a they made a plan together, and it took a while for her to understand it, for them to understand it, all that kind of stuff. But they made a plan together so that she would make giraffes sacred, and it would be, death if you killed a giraffe. So she
I
was,
think that's a good policy, actually.
yeah, yeah, I do
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
I do too. And meanwhile, they would help all the following rulers of Mania, which it's a matriarchy, so it's always going to be a queen. But all the members of the royal family always are bonded to a giraffe.
Okay.
And
Yeah, go ahead.
the intriguing thing is, if you have the queen and her giraffe, and you have her spouse, which we don't have a spouse yet in this book, we have a betrothed, and his giraffe, through the giraffes, the two can communicate. The
Oh,
two,
that's fun.
yeah, they can actually communicate. So that helps. We saw that some in the second book, The Watchers in Exile, because they were separated. And because he's already her betrothed, Kiffen is already bonded to his giraffe, but it's a very new experience to him. Whereas Adana's been raised to bond with the giraffe. She's been bonded with her giraffe since she was 10.
So
So
remind me, is it just the monarchy that is bonded with giraffes, or does everybody get to bond with a giraffe?
no, it's only the royal family.
Okay.
So the queen, her spouse, and I've never really had to address whether siblings would have one or not, because there wasn't a sibling for her
Mhm.
or for her mother. They both were only children. Um, but I'm thinking maybe siblings might. I just never really thought about it because it wasn't essential to the story, but that might be an
Well, there
interesting
it is.
story to write.
gave you a new novella idea right there. You
Right
get
there,
to.
right there. Yeah.
So before we do the reading today, I want to make sure that our listeners understand this is a book about war. So there is a listener advisory for death and violence, as you would expect in any war. So if you have little people nearby with tiny ears, you might want to preview this episode before you share it with them, just to be on the safe side.
I'm pretty sure that we won't see any of that in the section I'm going to read, but because we're talking about the book, I
Right.
just want people to know
I
that
agree.
there will be death and violence. It is not gratuitous. It is not glorified. People are impacted horribly by it, but in the sense of how we would think they should feel, not, yay, we killed somebody. It's like, oh
Right.
my gosh, so
Sure.
anyway,
It's got a nice balance with morality, which is
right,
important.
right. And the series is family friendly. So the books are clean. You just need to know. And I've had people as young as 12 reading the books.
Oh, awesome.
It wasn't written for a YA audience, but I have had a lot of YA readers who have loved it.
Hmm.
I've also had, Vietnam war veterans contact me and say, I love these books. So, which
That's
tells me, I guess
fantastic.
I did
What
battle
a
correctly.
what a great audience you have. Oh my
Yes.
gosh. That's
So, but
awesome.
anyway,
Okay. So today you're going to be reading from The Watchers at War, which is book 3 in the Watchers of Moniah series. Barbara Evers, when you are ready, please take the microphone and read aloud.
okay. So I'm going to read from the first chapter, from the very beginning of this book, because this is the scene I spent forever trying to figure out. And when it came to me, I was in the floor doing exercises. I sat up, I grabbed a notebook, and I wrote it. And I could see it so vividly.
I love
So
it when
that's
those moments come to us.
yes. So
Yeah.
that's the scene I'm going to read here. You do need to know we have Adana, who is the heir to the throne. Unofficially, they're calling her queen because they have crowned her, but she's in exile. All the kingdoms are conquered at this point, and she and Kiffen, her betrothed, are in exile.
Okay.
And they're at a place called the Border Keep. And they both have a giraffe bonded to them. Hers is Ambrosia, and his is Baidish. So those will come up in the
Okay.
process. We'll also hear about Gloom, and Gloom is the giraffe keeper. He is the man who takes care of the giraffes that are typically kept in the Moniah fortress, which is where the queen typically lives. So he is with them because Vaidish and Ambrosia are with Adana and Kiffen while they're in exile. So,
Okay.
okay. The giraffes came to them in towers, groups of 3 or 4 at first. Then they arrived in larger towers with as many as 10. Adana, exiled queen of Moniah, knew of their arrival first through her bond with Ambrosia, her royal giraffe. A ripple of excitement along their connection drew her away from the displaced leaders and soldiers gathered around the map table dominating the room in the Border Keep's central tower. It had been 4 days since her kingdom fell to the traitor. 4 days putting their dead to rest and arguing strategy. She strayed to the window, relieved Ambrosia's emotional pull gave her a distraction. Below, throngs of refugees and soldiers rushed to the outermost gates, energy and excitement in their actions, obvious even at this distance, evident to all, not just a visually gifted watcher. Did Ambrosia alert you? A warm hand on her shoulder accompanied Kiffen's breath on her neck. She nodded, taking comfort in his closeness, the one constant in her life right now, her betrothed. Did her presence do the same for him? With Kiffen's throne seized by his stepmother, and Kiffen declared outlaw for the crime of agreeing to marry her, a savage queen, did he find solace with her? Aidish did too. He leaned in closer. Do you know why? You got a glimpse of giraffes through the bond. She had, but what did it mean? A stir outside the keep's gates drew her attention, the slight shift visible to her through her watcher's gift, but not yet visible to a man not blessed with this sight. She gasped and tried to stifle her shout of glee, but a little squeak erupted from her mouth. Grabbing Kiffen's hand, she said, "Do you see him?" He shook his head. She pointed. "There, look over there, across the lake." A large giraffe stood on the edge of the lake, his head and neck visible beyond the walls as he moved toward the makeshift bridge set up for refugees to cross the lake and enter the keep. Behind him came two more giraffes. No, three. A calf, almost hidden among the mother's legs, ambled along. A quick squeeze to her shoulder told her Kiffen saw them. The door to the map room burst open, startling the leaders and advisors gathered there. They frowned in consternation as Gloom, Moniah's giraffe keeper, rushed into the room panting. Eyes bright, his cheeks rounded by a grin, he sought out Adana's gaze. "Your Majesty, they've come!" Without waiting for a response, he turned and sprinted from the room, his agility hard to fathom for a man of his bulk. The other commanders turned to Adana and Kiffen, their faces registering confusion and curiosity. "Who's come?" Monty, the first division, left the table and came to the window. "Giraffes." Adana couldn't hold back the grin that erupted with her announcement. The 6 other people in the room crowded around the east-facing windows in the tower. Adana grabbed Kiffen's arm and pulled him past their advisors toward the door. "Come, Gloom wants us." A lightness came to her limbs as they rushed down the tower stairs. The keep's layout forced them to travel through the halls of the central tower to the gate leading into the west tower. The stairs and corridors echoed with their hurried footsteps, the silence profound except for their passage. No one roamed the corridors or clogged the stairwells. Everyone must have gone outside or were in the outer rim of the keep. Circling the middle part of the keep, they headed to the gate that opened into the outer walled section. With no one around to see, Adana dropped her royal demeanor and ran. The pure joy and freedom of movement added to her excitement. No woman in Elwar could do this, not wearing the mandatory heavy skirts of their society. After spending 9 seasons in that kingdom, she would never take something as simple as clothing styles for granted. No matter if Elwarian women frowned over her Watchers' leggings and tunic. Behind her, Kiffen, the one good thing she'd found in Elwar, laughed and raced to catch up. A large mass of people crowded the gate to the outer wall. Adana, blessed by the height of a watcher, peered over the heads, trying to determine the delay. Nothing moved. But even this didn't destroy her excitement. Giraffes here, at the keep, far from the plains of Moniah where they lived. A quick touch to her link with Ambrosia sent a new spurt of energy through the connection. Her giraffe reveled with joy over the arrival of her kind. That's all Adana could learn from the bond, though. Ambrosia moved somewhere in the keep as she did, anxious to greet these newcomers. Idish followed her, the 2 giraffes able to navigate the gathering crowds due to their size. The keep's inhabitants gave them wide berths, still unsure how to react to noble giraffes living among them. Monty, who had followed closely behind Adana and Kiffen, pushed through the crowd. "Make way for the queen! Make way for the king!" A narrow gap appeared, and their small band rushed through the eastern gate. People had spread out along the shores of the lake encircling the keep's island. An excited babble of voices grew in volume as the first giraffes stepped on the temporary bridge. The animals stood on the small jut of land beyond the wooden dock, unable to come farther. 7 more giraffes stood on the opposite shore of the lake, hesitant to cross the bridge. Hopefully, they would not attempt it. The 4 of them managed without it collapsing said more for the quality of the makeshift bridge than expected. In the midst of the 4 who had crossed, Gloom stood, offering carrots and patting their flanks. He looked up in delight as Adana approached, the people stepping back to give her room. "Mistress, they have come." The joy in the man's face washed over her, and she laughed with delight as she drew near the tower of giraffes. At the sound of her laughter, the animals turned and eyed her. The tallest one spread his legs and bowed, dropping his neck and head low to the ground. The ones behind him, with no room to properly bow, lowered their necks. A murmur of awe raced through the crowd. Adana accepted this homage, the warmth of love for her kingdom's most sacred animal spreading through her chest. At a nudge from Kiffen, she looked across the lake in time to see the 7 on the other side of the bridge bowing too. She sensed the approach of Ambrosia before her bonded giraffe reached her. Now 8 years old, Ambrosia stood over twice as tall as Adana. All the giraffes remained. Sorry, stop that. I thought I turned that off. All the, all the giraffes remained bowed until Ambrosia and Bidish came to a stop behind Adana and Kiffen. Then, as one, they raised their heads and gazed toward the royal giraffes. Adana placed a tentative hand on the elongated face of the one closest to her. Amazed, the unknown animal allowed the contact. These weren't the giraffes who lived inside Adana's view, her fortress and seat of authority. Why had they come? He sent the question to Ambrosia. An image of the border keep perched on its island at the center of a large lake swam into view. A circle of giraffes stood around the entire outer wall. Another circle surrounded the opposite shore of the lake. With these images came a surge of pride from Ambrosia. Unsure what to make of this, Adana wandered between the drafts and followed Gloom across the bridge to the other shore. When she caught up to the man, he already stood in their midst. Gloom, why are they here? Where are they from? Mistress, these giraffes traveled from the wild, from the plains beyond your fortress. They come to serve you and their queen. Isn't she their queen? Kiffen asked. Adana turned to find him behind her again, unfazed by the animals towering over them. Yes, he shared a bond with his own giraffe, Bidish, but that bond was fresh and untested. Kiffen, raised in Elwar, a land of mountains and forests, still worked to understand his bonded connection with Bidish. Most people preferred observing the tall beast from a distance, where the sheer size of them did not overwhelm them. Kiffen once more found a way to surprise and thrill her with his willingness to venture among the towering animals. Bloom nodded at Kiffen. Queen Adana is their king, yes, but Ambrosia is their queen, too. And Bidish, their king, as well as you. A brief, curious, escaped Kiffen's mouth as he reached a tentative hand out to touch the flank of the nearest giraffe. He opened his mouth to seek, but excited murmurs from the crowd stopped him. From the edge of the forest, another tower of giraffes emerged, at least 10 more. And I'm going to stop there.
Okay,
Wouldn't you love to see that?
yes, yes, I would, because the most I've ever seen was in Florida, and there were
Mm-hmm.
about six.
Mm-hmm.
They were pretty fascinating as a group of six. I can't imagine
We've
10,
got, I think,
12,
like, yeah,
15. That's
I
a
think we've got
lot of
about
giraffes.
17 of them right now, or no, maybe I'd have to go back about 20, maybe. There ends up being quite a few, quite a
That's
few. They keep
pretty amazing.
coming. Yeah.
So,
So,
so tell me, you mentioned at the beginning of your reading about a calf.
yes,
Do calves bond with young people?
no.
Okay, so
The
they have
bond
to wait for
actually,
maturity before that
yeah,
happens?
the bond is, it's a mutual bond. And in Adana's case, her mother's giraffe's calf is the one she bonded with.
Okay.
The giraffe that Kiffen bonded with chose him.
Okay.
So,
But the giraffes don't get that ability to bond until they've matured. Is that how the
right,
story
right.
goes?
And there's a whole process. In the first book, we see Gloom, the giraffe keeper, who, by the way, is one of my favorite
I
characters.
just think it's a great name.
Yeah, that's one of those names that just came to me, and I'm like, okay, I get it. This is Gloom. But Gloom loves and lives for the giraffes. He's a bit odd, but that's okay because his whole job is caring for the giraffes and also collecting their tears, which is an important aspect of the bond.
Okay.
So to form that bond, the royal has to also drink a mixture with the tears.
That's
And
amazing.
there's more
That's a
to it.
really cool magical ritual that you've
Mhm.
created to go with it. That's very awesome.
Yeah, and we find out in this book there's also something that they secrete from their ossicones, which is the horns, which is essential to another part of the bond. But we don't find out about that till a little bit later in this. I think it's in this book. It might be the end of the second book.
So
They run together.
you've done a ton of research for these
Yes.
books. And I don't know, so I'm going to ask because I'm curious. Are there any natural enemies to giraffes in the wild?
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
Are giraffes considered prey animals? I guess is what I'm asking.
they are. They are not aggressive animals unless attacked. Now, their hooves are about the size of a dinner plate, and
Yeah.
a kick from a giraffe can cave your skull in.
Yeah, easily.
So, uh, lions are their probably number one predator. And of course, they'll do the whole pack thing to
Hmm.
try to attack them. But you will, if you look it up on like online, you can look up giraffes protecting calves from lions and stuff like that. And there's a heartbreaking one where the giraffe is kicking out trying to protect the calf and she accidentally kills the calf with her hoof.
Oh, geez.
So,
Yeah.
but
Well,
that's
yeah, I
the,
can imagine the force from that hoof at that height.
it's pretty strong.
Yeah.
It's pretty strong. So, but they tend to be complacent, calm animals in the sense of, I'm the big one out here on the savannah.
Right.
But actually they're more endangered. They are endangered. They're more endangered by the creep of civilization.
Ah,
That has
yeah, their
impacted
habitat
them.
is destroyed. Yeah.
Their habitat is disappearing. And that's the Giraffe Conservation Foundation, which is run by, I think his name is Adrian. I know her name, Stephanie Fennessy. I think her husband's name's Adrian. It might be Julian. I never can remember his name because I've spoken with Stephanie. I've
Ah,
actually
okay.
interviewed Stephanie, but he's actually the one who did the research, and then they formed the Giraffe Conservation Foundation. But they work to one educate people about the silent extinction of giraffes because it's pretty much gone unnoticed, unlike other
Mm-hmm.
animals.
Mm-hmm.
And they also work to translocate giraffes to other areas where they might be safer.
Okay.
So where
That sounds like really amazing work.
it is, and I would give anything to go and help them,
Yeah.
but it's expensive. There's been a few
Yeah.
opportunities out there, and I'm like, oh, I wish I could do this. You
So
know,
the last curious question I have, because we're talking about bonds, we're talking about conversations that these
mhm,
people have with their giraffes. Do giraffes make any natural noises? I don't.
they do. They actually do. It's only in the last decade they figured this out, I think, because when I started writing the Watchers of Moniah, one of the theories was that they communicated telepathically because you
Because
didn't
they are
hear
so quiet.
because they are so quiet, but it was obvious they were communicating with each other through by observing them.
Mhm.
And so I was like, well, that works. That works perfectly
Right.
for me. But they can moo, they can grunt, they can roar, they can there's different sounds they make, but most of the sounds they make are at such a low pitch that we don't hear it. Our
Ah,
ears are
okay.
incapable of picking it up.
That's amazing.
So in the last decade, they kind of figured that out. And I don't remember, I don't, I won't swear it's the last decade, but it's not been that long
Yeah.
that they figured that out, that there's actually a sound they are making and they are communicating. It's just we don't have the ears to hear it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's pretty fascinating stuff. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I hope that your books do spectacularly well and everybody reads them, and then
Yes.
people go out and get more curious about giraffes and support the conservation work.
And you can support giraffe conservation by buying my books because I give 5% of my royalties to Giraffe Conservation Foundation. But
That's
you also
tremendously
find
generous.
them.
What a great thing for you to do.
Well, I had to. I had to. I just love giraffes so much. And to know all of this and to have relied on the people who are doing their best to save them from extinction.
Yeah.
I relied on them for a lot of information. It seemed the only right thing to do.
Sure.
But buy the books, I give 5% of my royalties back. Currently, any of my books, 5% of my royalties back to the Giraffe Conservation Foundation. I do that usually annually because,
Excellent.
it takes a while to make sense to make that contribution. So I
So,
just did it recently.
real quick, before you go, what's coming up next? We've heard from all five of your books now. What
Yes.
are you doing next?
Well, I am waiting as
Because,
we speak.
selfishly, I want you to read aloud to me
Yeah,
again.
there
So,
you go. I am waiting as we speak for the printer to send me my sample author copy of a book I wrote called Giraffing Around. It is a nonfiction book aimed at the middle grade audience. It's full of photographs I have actually taken of giraffes. So all the
Fun.
photographs are by me, except for my author photo. So, which you showed at the beginning of the
Mm-hmm.
interview, that author photo was taken by my husband. But the rest of the photos have been taken by me in the books. Unfortunately, none of them from Africa because I haven't quite made it there yet. I
Yeah.
so much want to go.
Yeah, it's on
Um,
my list too.
but because there's photographs in it, this is totally outside of my realm of norm.
Yeah.
So I don't have that book available yet, but I'm hoping it will be available later this month, which is December of 2025, in case you're watching this later.
Right.
But it's called Giraffing Around, and it will talk about some of the unique traits and biology of giraffes
We
that
get
I
to
have
learn all the
learned over the
fun
years.
things.
Yeah, a lot of fun
Awesome.
things, but it's written to a middle grade audience, so so it's easy for anybody. But if you love
Yeah.
giraffes, you're gonna love it anyway because there's a lot of pictures in giraffes, and you'll learn stuff about giraffes, like how much they weigh and
And how
how they
enormously
walk.
tall they are. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
we know they're tall. We know they have a long neck,
Yep.
but that their necks are too short to drink water. Did you know that?
I
Their
didn't
necks are
know
too
that.
short. That's why when you see them, they have this weird pose with their front legs
They splay
because
their front legs out.
they
Yeah.
splay them because if they just were to lean down, guess what?
The
Neck's not
water.
long enough.
Right. Yeah.
It's crazy. It's
It
crazy.
is.
But
It's
what they
wacky.
eat and how they eat and what they put up with to eat, and there's all sorts of stuff in the book.
So much fun. We will look forward to that in the new year, and you'll come back and read to us and show us all your cool giraffe pictures, and it'll be super fun. I'm looking forward to that. I hope you have a wonderful new year and
Thank you.
much health and happiness upon you and your family.
Well, thank you, and happy New Year to you and to everybody watching. Thank you for watching.
Absolutely. Thank you. We look forward to seeing you again.